Hey guys, welcome to Outskirts Overland. It is Thursday morning and it is National Chocolate Chip Day. There is always the days are weird, man. I think it's fun though. I just recorded with Benji last night. It's live today. It's a 2 hour long podcast. We did 2 hours and man, we're all over the place. Not in a bad way. That sounds bad. We were all over the place. We covered a lot of stuff. I'm going to go ahead and say we covered a lot of stuff. I don't know about all over the place. I got home at about 10 something last night, just long enough to catch up on some football talk on the way home and pass out. So that's about what yesterday included. This morning, got up. Um, I had to take I got a GCI rocker. I had to take it back to Target. I got it at Target. Um, Target's on my way home, so I do pick up of stuff at Target. And they had a GCI rocker. I got that thing, and it was up like it looks like they drug it across a metal grate of some type. I don't know. It's all kinds of tore up. Those things are like $90. Freaking back that goes. I was like, nah. So went took that back this morning. So the podcast is a few minutes later because I had to go hit up Target. And before anybody even thinks anything, Target is not my first choice to buy anything. But as I get on my way home to get on the highway, I've got to go by Target. So Target is usually a good place to do pickup. I had to walk in that place today, and it is Mom City. That's, that's why I only do pickup. But you couldn't at 8 a.m. You can't do a drop off return. You can do a drop off return, but not at 8 a.m. So I had to go in. If you're a guy that is of any middle aged and you have a female in your life, you know the bane of Target. So but that's what I did this morning. But today we talked about it last night just a little bit, just a slight bit on the podcast with Benji. But it's the topic I want to it's good that I do those with him because it does kind of get my brain working again on different stuff. But the thing I wanted to, we briefly touched on like the turnover of overlanding and how, he mentioned like people don't even know he does a podcast, and Benji's had a podcast for a long time. Budget Overland was a huge was a big podcast, and the Budget Overland group reached, I don't know, the Budget Overland group at one time I think was over 60,000 people, and Benji ran that, and a lot of people don't know that, and the reason they don't know that is because we were talking about the turnover of overlanding, and a lot of people looked at people. I think a lot of newer folks look to folks that have been doing it a long time for ideas and experience and, conversation. But the fact of the matter is there's not very many people that have been doing it a long time because everyone kind of has a turnover every couple of years. I've had lots of different friends that have went with me, a lot for 8 months, 10 months, a year, some 2 years. At this point, I don't have very many, maybe one that has been 3 years. It gets in and out of it, switches gears, and gets into something else, like adults now. Pickleball is popular, and golf is popular as my age. So pickleball, golf, bike riding, just kids, house, family, job, Like I'm of the age where people start to get management positions and it kind of eats their life away. They work salary, they work too much, in my opinion. And man, I'll probably talk on that a little bit, even why people get out of it, and how you're really just, you're, I don't know, you're like crushing your joy for so many things that are not for yourself. Not that anybody should be selfish, but you got to take care of yourself. And I don't know, I would resent the situation I was in if I couldn't continue doing this hobby to some extent. Like it's that big of a deal to me. I'd be like, man, this job doesn't let me do it. Like I hate it. Like I'm in this marriage or relationship and I can't do it. So then I would just feel like I'm always giving, you know? And I guess that's just me, but or maybe that's a thought you guys have, but that's a little off topic. So we were talking about how the turnover is about every 2 to 3 years, and it's almost tough for me. For me, I'm not speaking for Benji. I'm totally talking about me here. This is just a topic that we touched on yesterday. Um, but it's tough for me because here's how I look at it. You're always getting new people, so one, you're having the same kind of conversation over and over and over and over again. Um, a guy, Marty McFly, just commented, "Through hiking is my hobby." Yeah, Marty, and in how many people? So through hiking is actually super cool. So Marty, I don't know Marty from Adam, but Marty just said through hiking is my hobby. Well, through hiking, if you guys don't know, is where like these huge long trails, like the Appalachian Trail, the Continental Divide Trail, the Pacific Coast Trail, Pacific Crest Trail, and they're like thousands of miles. That's what through hiking is. So it's essentially like overlanding, a lot slower, on your feet, camping every day for a super long period of time. Some people do break it up. Um, some people do break it up, and some people do it straight. So some people are like, take quit their job and take a year off or 6 months off or whatever and hike this super long time. But again, that's a hobby too, Marty, that like it takes some time, it takes some dedication, it's going to take a good amount of knowledge. It's a great it's a great like it's a great example. Like it's very similar. It's going to take a lot to be interested in that hobby and to be consistent in that hobby, but you're also not going to get better or more knowledgeable or understand. So like when you're through hiking, there's different spots that you're going to be like, there's different towns where you could stop and do like your laundry and different things. And people send mail to those different spots so that they have supplies at a place they're going to stop. So they kind of map out where they're going to be and have mail sent there to the post office so they could pick up their mail, whether it's a new socks, shoes, pants, snacks, something. But if they need something along the way, because they are on the trail for an extended period of time, so they get mail sent to these different places, and there's people there that I don't know what they call them, trail angels or something, but they're people that essentially have sanctuary for through hikers to come sleep, have a meal, enjoy a shower, stuff like that. Um, and if you're thinking, dang, Charlie, why do you know so much about this? Or why do you know anything about it? I hiked before s- simultaneously, I was hiking and overlanding. I lived in Joshua Tree, California. I mean, that's what's there. Okay. So, like, I'm not by any means going to say I'm a through hiker, but I know about it. Okay. Like, it's a thing that was out there through hiking, rock climbing, overlanding, backpacking. So like maybe a little more maximal versus through hiking is typically a little lighter due to the nature of the distance. But so I do know about it. I'm just passionate about learning about outdoor stuff so that I can keep that community strong. So it's not like I don't want to be like, oh, I'm an overlander or car camper or whatever. And you're a through hiker and I'm superior, and I would expect the same. Like my experience with hikers and rock climbers and overlanders from when I was doing it long ago and was around these people is everybody was like really interested in the other. That's how I know about it. Like we were amongst each other. It wasn't segregated, kind of like it is now. Like, oh, that's the blah blah blah. Like I'd stop a lot of times, and an epic like place to climb was also a cool place to camp. So like, and the climbers would camp at night, and you'd see them get their crash pads out and all that stuff, and almost like I just watch them. Like that was my entertainment a little bit. But also through hikers are coming through, and you'd see them, and they just be like dirty and wore out, and you can tell they're like you could just I don't know if you guys ever meet any through hikers, you're gonna know like immediately like their body structure is like so endurance, like walking endurance looking. Like seriously, like there's a look, big calves, tall socks, weird tan lines. Um, they're yeah, you just tell. Anyways, if you know, you know. So you just pick their brain. They want to know about what you're doing and your stuff, and naturally you should ask about their stuff. And so I've learned a lot just from being in this hobby for a long time. I've learned from these other hobbies because, quite frankly, rock climbing, through hiking, backpacking, bike packing, those all preceded overlanding being a thing. So when I was overlanding, those I was the new thing, like I was the interesting, unknown, novel thing at that point. So, but that's real cool, Marty. I appreciate that. I went on a little tangent about your hobby just so people can understand what that even means. Um, but yeah, the people stay in this for like 2 or 3 years. I think they find out it's either A, expensive, time consuming, not necessarily as glorious or fulfilling potentially as they thought it was. The thing you don't see on YouTube, and I think YouTube drives overlanding, and I'd say 2 or 3 year turnover, but I'd say there's a good year before people even get into that 2 or 3 years where they just become obsessed with YouTube creators and YouTube content to like get motivated and inspired to even start, to even begin. So I think that's a thing too. So like I don't know if you'd include it in that 2 or 3 years or if that's a fourth year added. I don't really know. However you want to peel that banana, but nonetheless, however you want to do that, it's 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 very unique in that because it's always like essentially it's always new. Like my truck, and I have a truck, okay? Like my vehicle, I'll say my vehicle. I need to start saying my vehicle more often. My vehicle has changed a lot of times. Like I can't imagine if I was only in this, like, so I think of my first 3 years and what I was doing. And I just continually, it got like I got better. And you can get better at it. Like better at packing, better at organizing, better gear, better understanding, more efficient. Like and then you can start to realize, like, do I want ease or comfort? Like because you can't have both. But in 3 years, you're either gonna have. I mean, I'd say in 3 years you probably didn't have a great experience with it because there's no way you started off great, and that sucks because then you see people like me and you're like, it's tough because then I'm just so full of knowledge about it that I'm like, well, you get this and this and this and this and this and this and this, but it's 20 freaking years. Like I've been doing it 20 years, and you'll see people. There's a very big difference between your starting and what they're hearing that they think they need or they want, and the person that's done it a long time and what they carry that they need and what they don't. So there's a lot of stuff that's like real popular that I don't carry. There's also some pieces of equipment that I carry that I think a lot of people carry, like out the gate, and there's no I'll use Max Tracks is the example. I think Max Tracks and Rotopacks are something I see pretty quick, and you don't have a need for Rotopacks unless you're driving a place where you're going to have to do extended travel without fuel stops. Or I have a diesel Rotopack for my diesel heater, so I don't have to go back to town every day to put a gallon of diesel in the diesel heater. You know? But I don't know that you just start off there. Max Tracks. A lot of people get them and then just level their rig with them. Guys, back in the day, like Max Tracks are not new, but like I say back in the day, 6 years ago, you just leveled your rig with a rock. Like rocks. You just stacked rocks. For real. And a lot of people buy Max Tracks to level their rig, and I either just a lot of times I find a new spot or rocks, a stick, whatever. Air a tire down. Like I don't use but I use my Max Tracks for recovery, and I have used them. You can look at my Max Tracks and go, yeah, used for recovery. Like they're on the side of my truck, and I use them. Hell, you can even look at the pins that my Max Tracks are on and be like, I don't know. You can look at my stuff and go, this stuff gets used. Period. There is nothing on my truck. Nothing. that's not got a flaw, like a scratch, a chip, like it gets used. It's a tool. I use it like a tool, and I think that that's the thing too. When you're new, you're like, gosh, I just spent all this money and now I'm going to tear it up. Well, if you're only going to be in it 3 years, yeah, there's stuff I've had for 10. Like, yeah, it's going to get messed up. I bought it so that it lasts through getting jacked up. So that's tough too. Like, it's going to be a super expensive couple of years for you that you never really kind of get off your feet if you do it 2 or 3 years. So it's probably tough. It's probably super tough, actually. So that sucks, really. Like, I wish some of you guys, and life doesn't allow. Like I said, people get promotions, people have kids, people buy a house, and now they don't have the extra income potentially, or they have, kid takes that away, time, whatever. There's a number of things, and you're gonna have to pivot to make that hobby work for everybody too. That's just all there's to it. Like, maybe you had a two-door Jeep and now you have a family and you had to get rid of the Jeep. But you didn't just buy a four-door Jeep too. Like, you bought a whatever, something else. And now that's not really suitable. So it's tough because I'm having conversations. I've almost like lost sight of how that was 16 years ago for me. Not only was it starting now, and I'm like, well, you have the world at your fingertips in this hobby now. Like, I essentially, there was like, overlanding was like, there wasn't all these tires even. Like, lifts were not the huge thing, really, even. Like, bigger tires, like 31, 32-inch tires. Goodyear Wranglers was like, it kind of like, and then there was mud tires, but a lot of those weren't even DOT approved. So you have a lot like of differences now where you can do a lot. There was like overlanding whenever I started in the US anyways. It was like a segue between camping and moving, like packing to move and and off-roading kind of, but not really, because you couldn't build a rig like a lot of us have now. Heck, you couldn't build a rig that was as good as a Forerunner is stock right now, very affordably. It just wasn't the way stuff was. So I don't relate. I don't relate because I'm like, you have so much stuff at your fingertips, but I guess it's that they don't know where to start. And then when they find, or they never find where to start, and that's why they get out of it so fast. That's a thought. But we were just talking about it, and I was like, man, that is crazy because I'm like, every year I'm an experienced guy. I've been doing this a very long time, but not every year but every year I'm talking to a first year, second year person. And that's crazy to me. It just, I mean, it is. I don't, and again, I don't relate. I can't relate. But over all the years, I've got such a wide range of knowledge. Like, I think everybody wants to get a rooftop tent, but I slept in a Big Agnes tent I had a Big Agnes. What was it? Bigfoot 2, I think it was. I mean, I still have it. But I had that for, dude, I don't even know, long time. 7 years probably now. And before that, I had like a Kelty one person. Like, not ultra light, but like, I was in the desert, so it wasn't a 4-season tent. But it was like a Kelty one person tent. And then before that, I just had a bivy sack. Like, I had a sleeping system and a bivy sack, and I just laid on a pad. Because again, I was in the desert. I mean, you got to watch where you're at because when you're laying on the ground in the desert, there's stuff on the ground, but scorpions and stuff. But again, yeah, whatever. I've never been stung by one. Maybe it's luck. Maybe it's divine intervention. Who knows? But yeah, so, and everybody now, they get into it and they're like, geez, you got a rooftop tent. That's, X amount of dollars. That's crazy. But it's like, yeah, not day one though. Like, but I don't think they believe you. I honestly, I think when I talk to people that are in their first couple of years, and I tell them that's not where I started, I don't know that they believe me. I don't know that they believe it, but maybe they do. I don't know. But we were just talking. We just mentioned it, and it got me thinking. Like as I was driving home last night, I was like, "Man, that is crazy. That's such a high turnover rate. Like, can you imagine?" So I got friends that got into golf. Okay, just golf is and I know nothing about golf. Like, I mean, I know about golf, like functionally. Like, you have clubs and a ball, and you've got to reserve a tee time, and there's a dress code. That's about what I know. But I know it takes a lot of practice. And so, like, I have guys that got out of overlanding that went, once every month or 2 months and got into golf. Well, it requires a lot of work and it's not cheap either. But, like, they didn't put that, they're putting that work into golf. And I think it's just because they could go home right after. Like, they're closer to home. And I think the travel's the difference. But the overlanding as a hobby that is the hobby, is travel. So that's maybe people don't think that either. Like, you're not going to be close, rarely. Like, you're going to have to drive far. Like, in none of these videos, like, if I had enough storage on my phone, I'd do a video of, like, here's what it looks like to get to the Ozarks. It'd be an 8 hour long video. And then everybody'd be like, oh, man. Like, nobody's even watching it. Like, because it's so much driving, and gas stations, and setup, and takedown, and blah, blah, blah. Like, there's a lot. I mean, there is a lot. And I don't know if anybody really realizes that. But my point is that these people get into golf or pickleball, whatever, and they put a lot of time into it, to get better at it. But for some reason, people don't think camping is something to get better at because it's not a sport, I guess. Maybe we should start looking at it more like that because you can for sure get better. Yeah, I mean, you can for sure get better. And if you have that kind of mindset, like, even if you buy this stuff that you see other people have, you need to know you're probably not using it the same. Like, you don't have the same thought, and you're not going to have the same experience of, like, me. Like, my first sleeping pad wasn't even inflatable. I didn't have a Thermarest inflatable sleeping pad, like, little bitty one. Inflatable one for 5 years. So when I got my first Thermarest sleeping pad that was probably like a half-inch thick, I was like, this is a game changer. So you got to imagine, I'm on a 3-inch thick memory foam mattress in my rooftop tent that's aluminum. I'm like, this is a Marriott. But, like, if you're comparing it to your bedroom and you don't have the experience of, like, coming up with the industry, that's tough. And I don't know that you believe me. I don't know if you come into it in this point of the game if you think I'm just full of crap. Maybe. And then you're like, or you look at somebody like me and you're like, he just has money and I can't afford to keep up with that. Well, you don't need to either. Like, I've never looked down on somebody that's, like, I don't know, doing it a little different, because you've got to understand that what it is now and what it could look like is not where any of us that have done it for a long time started. Not even close, vehicle wise, even. Like, I've just been in it long enough to have made a vehicle work. And that's a whole nother thing. Like, I wasn't traveling nearly as much whenever, like, so modifying a vehicle is a catch 22 because I do all the work myself, which means I got to have time, which is usually a weekend or an evening, but a weekend. And that's when I'd normally travel, but I'm building this vehicle so that I can travel comfortably or further or whatever. The whole build process of a vehicle is a time consuming thing. And so it's tough. Like, I have my truck now, and I had a Tacoma, then I had a Titan, then I went back to a Tacoma. So, like, I kind of figured it out there. But I built the Titan out, and now I'm building my Tacoma out. But my Tacoma's 5 years old, almost 6 years old at this point. And I mean, the build, quote unquote, is pretty well done. Like, nothing needs done. My starter's getting corroded contacts from water crossings or age. Like, my truck has 85,000 miles now, which by no means for that truck is a lot, but I got to put a starter in it, and that's going to be a few hour job and some hundreds of dollars. But that's just maintenance. It's not like I got to, I'm tearing it apart, changing suspension, doing all these things. Then I gotta, get it back kind of sort of aligned to get it to an alignment shop so they can align it. I gotta have somebody bring me to work. The truck's done. I gotta take me back to the shop, pay for it for the alignment. Like, I'm done with all the like a lot of fabrication, larger thing stuff. And some stuff's changed and some stuff hasn't the whole time, because I'm trying to get better at it. And I don't even know where I'm going with this, but like, I guess I just wanted to try and explain, like, in 2 or 3 years' time, I don't think you can make enough progress. You won't have enough time to camp and progress at that, or enough time to build a vehicle and progress at that, and put it all together in 2 or 3 years. So I think that coming into this hobby thinking you can buy all this stuff and it's just gonna come together and work out in this beautiful orchestra of success. That's not how it works. And it's not that you got to pay your dues or anything. Like, you just got to spend the time on it like you would with golf. That's the point I'm getting to. Like, it's gonna suck at first. You're gonna suck at golf at first. Like, you don't start out great. No matter what club you get, if your form sucks, you suck. And there's some time buy-in. So he was talking about that, and I was like, man, that is true. But it blows my mind because I can think of 2 years ago and like trips I went on and how that was like yesterday. And yeah, that's crazy. That's like your whole entire like journey in one swoop. And a lot of people buy a new vehicle to even start, which is its own insanity. That's crazy. It's crazy to me. That's just not a lot of time or enough time. So it made me think, like, how I'm going to talk to people that are starting out, because I think it's tough when you're talking to people starting out next to my truck. Okay, like, again, believe me or don't believe me, but like 20 years of experience, and the military too, and combat deployments, and like I have a lot of out in I have a lot of camping experience too. Like, it was work for me. I was an infantryman. Like, that, if you don't know what that is, that's like a grunt. That's a door kicker. That's a rifleman. That's whatever. The people that hike with guns and do that stuff outside, austere environments with a pack, you know, snowshoeing, skiing, hiking, dropping out, like fast roping out of a helicopter, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's what I did in the military. So also have that experience, like, but it's hard to articulate though that time in my life when you're standing next to this truck and me with all this stuff and all this knowledge. It's probably overwhelming. I mean, it's definitely overwhelming because you're going to look at what I have and think that's what I got to get to, and that's not true either. I am a gear guy. I like gear. I like vehicles. I like to work on the vehicle as much as I like to use what I worked on the vehicle. So I'm constantly tinkering. You don't have to be that guy. Plenty of people put a puck lift on, or even just a suspension lift, tires, build their own stuff, or have boxes, and like, it works fine. Like, you don't even need a roof rack. You just need roof bars. I mean, you don't, what you need and what you want and what's ideal and what's workable are all different things. And I know about them all because, I mean, there was times where the world wasn't at our fingertips in overlanding, so you were making a lot of stuff and you were figuring it out. But I even had as long as I've done this for just camping purposes and hunting purposes and just sightseeing purposes, I was still not, I was the last of my friends to get a rooftop tent. Still. And I got a super cheap, not four season one to begin with, because I was like, man, that's a lot of money for that when I've been doing it in this forever and it was fine. And I think you could still, I argue on the podcast yesterday, like, now that I've gotten a taste of that comfort and that niceness, I like continue to try and improve on my rooftop tent situation. But I, in a lot of ways, wish I would have just got a Gazelle and never looked back. But I can't go back now. But that is really a solution that requires no mounting. It's not, it's lighter. I don't know. In a lot of ways, I almost am disgusted with myself that I've become so quote unquote bougie, and I've lost some of the spirit of what it is, because a gazelle tan absolutely work for you and nice. Like, man, no, absolutely work. Like a gazelle and a couple foldable cots or air mattress, and you'd be fine. You'd be absolutely fine. And my gazelle even has the waterproof bag, so I just strap it on the top. It would be totally fine. But now there's a couple things that I think that you want, you need, and that's a compressor and a fridge and a power station or onboard power. But I mean, you really, when you think about it, tires, gazelle, air mattress, sleeping bag, Coleman cook stove, pot pan, cooking utensils, paper plates, even more fine, fridge, air compressor. Move on about your day. You can probably go. I mean, there's some other nuanced stuff that you're gonna want, like some soft shackles and like a few tools if you needed to do something. But I mean, you could fit it in one tub. You could you could overland out of one tub and a compressor and a fridge. So I like again, I'm a gear person and it's almost tough for me because I want to teach you guys a lot, but I have a lot. You don't need a lot. So like if you're the person that's at year 1 or 2 and you listen to my podcast, don't think gear is what you need right now. Experience is what you need. Just go with what you have and you'll learn that you may either A, don't need what you think you want, or you don't or you don't need that thing for that. So like you may want this and go more and you're going to learn more from going. And if you think that it's going to be an exponentially better experience with something and I have that something, dude, ask me about it because there's plenty of stuff I've spent money on and it wasn't any better. Like it is a better product, but it didn't make the experience any better. So it's like, why did I spend the money? But let me spend that money. Well, I already have. So that you don't, you're like, yeah, now I gotta deal with Facebook Marketplace, to get rid of it. Or you never get rid of it and just hang on to it. It's collecting dust. So, anyways, long rant, super long rant, just talking about, something, but it's just on my mind. I just let it go. And if you guys have any questions, I do have somebody texting. So, closing, I do have somebody texting me talking about how they're having issues with a VPN and downloading my podcast. And I know you're listening. Tell me who you are next time you text me because when I get a text, it just shows the last 4 digits of the number. I can't see who it is or the full number to even figure it out. Let me next time you text the podcast or text the podcast today, tell me who you are so I can get in contact with you personally so we can try and figure that out. They're having trouble getting playback on my podcast while they're on their VPN. And they said, why is that? Just my podcast. And I was like, I have no idea. Just so you know, like I haven't replied to you, but like I have no clue. But let me know who you are so I can find you somewhere else on social media so we can, because I also am interested why that's the case. I don't know. I have no idea. Actually, like maybe my podcast muted in some places for some reason. I don't know. I have no idea. So text me. Lastly, everybody else, you can text the podcast. Just as I just said before, I don't know who you are when you text the podcast unless you tell me. Unless you explicitly say, hey, this is such and such from so and so place. I don't know who you are. I can't text back. So the text the podcast is a one-way street. I get it. I talk about it. I can't text you back. If you want to talk with me, you can talk with me on Outskirts Overland via Facebook or Instagram, like messenger chat, and I'll reply to you. Like it's super easy for me to do, and I do it all the time. So go ahead and drop a comment, drop a like, a review. If you do text the podcast, just if you care to let me know who you are, go ahead and do that. If you don't, it doesn't bother me either way. I'll still talk about your subject. I'll still address what you have. And I will catch you guys tomorrow for Friday. Have a great Thursday while you look forward to the weekend. Catch you guys.